ASMR Coffin Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Coffin Radio. I am Heartthrob Rob, and today we are talking about the AEW All Out Scrum and everything involved with it. Dude, this is like the talk of the town. It went from WWE Castle, Clash of the Castle, from the Moxley match to all of a sudden everybody talking about what happened at this press conference and everything that happened after it as well. CM Punk comes out for the Scrum, which I'd never even heard of that fucking word, is a press conference. And CM Punk comes out fresh off his match with Jon Moxley, and he goes into a rant about Colt Cabana. It has nothing to do with Moxley, but he talks about, he calls Colt Cabana by his real name, and he says, I'm not friends with that guy, I haven't been friends with him. I haven't been friends with him for a while, but I don't need fucking dumbass EVPs going and trying to switch things up and tell these dirt sheets stories that aren't true. And of course they're talking about, he's talking about how when CM Punk came out, we don't get to see Colt Cabana as much anymore, and he's now been moved to Ring of Honor. And that's because Colt Cabana and CM Punk have been having their legal battles. Originally, CM Punk came on Colt Cabana's podcast to talk about him leaving WWE. They end up getting sued. CM Punk covers Colt Cabana's fucking medical or bills for such a long time, ends up telling him, hey man, I'm not paying for these bills no more. Whatever it is that happens between them, either way, they're not seeing eye to eye at all anymore, these once friends. So, a couple months on the way to AEW Double or Nothing, a couple months ago on the way to AEW Double or Nothing, Hangman Adam Page makes some comments that CM Punk has said that he took, or that we kind of see that CM Punk is taken maybe the wrong way, I don't know, but he says that, Hangman Adam Page, this dumb fuck Hangman Adam Page, goes out and shoots on me on national television. So that's exactly what he did back to him, when we saw that last week, when he said, Hangman Adam Page, get your bitch ass out here, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of shooting going on in AEW right now, with these guys going back at it. But, CM Punk said he didn't like, these EVPs spreading lies and bullshit, and he called Hangman Adam Page an empty-headed fuck. And he says they're trying to, they're going to fuck up the first $1 million house that we had, which is very true. CM Punk is your draw. Why are you guys messing around like that, He said that they're beyond apologies, and this isn't Reseda anymore. Of course, referencing the famous PWG building there. And, I kind of see his point, because bro, it's a working environment. If you don't like somebody, you don't like somebody. Like, what the fuck do you jump into it for? But everybody's talking about what happened afterwards. That things get really crazy. Supposedly, this is what we're hearing on the dirt sheets, and, it's not been solidified by anyone else but the dirt sheets. But apparently, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega did not like what CM Punk had to say, and they came to his locker room, and they came to confront him. And when it all comes down to it, Punk swings on Matt Jackson. Nick Jackson gets punched by Ace Steel because Ace Steel's with Punk. So we got the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus CM Punk and Ace Steel. Punk swings on Matt. Ace Steel swings on Nick. And then he ends up biting Kenny Omega. And there's also reports that he swung a chair. And later on, things get broken up and people are, I guess, there's yelling and shouting after. Chris Jericho has to break things up and security. And I guess CM Punk and Kenny Omega spoke after. I guess there was a phone call made and they tried to squash things, but things weren't looking too great. And by the way, when CM Punk is making all these remarks on camera, Tony is sitting right next to him. Like, how are you going to let him get away with that, Tony? Tony's got to tell him, hey man, we'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about that another time. Don't worry about it. And he's almost like getting quelled by CM Punk, which I thought was kind of crazy. But the word on the street is that he is on CM Punk, that he's, the locker room isn't sitting right from him. And I don't know anything, but that's supposedly what the heat is from, or where the heat is at. But I don't understand. To me, it all depends on who's at fault here with who threw the initial punch. Because if three guys come confront me, I understand that. But if three guys come to confront me and somebody swings on me, okay, I'm knocking out everybody. Everybody got to die, You got to think of this is wrestling, but in the workplace, just because you don't like someone doesn't mean you can go out there and come punch them in the face while they're in their locker room. You know what I mean? But that's who you have to think. And then AEW has a lot of this going in their turmoil coming on anyways, right? And a lot of things that play into this because they just had Sammy and Kingston who just got into it, who couldn't even have their match at AEW All Out. I mean, that's something in itself, right? Plus the Trios champion, which was just won by the Bucks and Kenny Omega. They have leverage as being champs, you know? And with this leverage, do they want to go to WWE? Do you want to walk out? Do you fucking say fuck Punk? Do you try and make Punk leave? Do you try and work it out? Another thing that I think about is it a work? A lot of people have fucking told me that it might be a work. I don't think it's a work, but if it is a work, good for them. Get some publicity. I love it. It could work out for everybody, you know? But just a lot of craziness going on right now in AEW. We'll have to see how things turn out, but I wanted to give you guys an update as everybody's talking about it. But let me know what you guys think, man. Who's at fault here? CM Punk, the Young Bucks, Hangman Adam Page, Colt Cabana. Let's talk about it. And if you like what you're watching, then hop in the coffin. Follow us on social media at Coffin Radio. Coffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.
ASMR Coffin Radio.